Alright, hi guys. My name is Supporter Pets Farmer 21927, and I have something to say about using AI in JC or Poly. I was a JC student. I use AI consistently throughout my 2 years in JC to help me learn and study, among other things. And I feel like it really helped me improve my time management and help me juggle my academics well. So this will be a guide on how to use AI effectively. Also, I've been an AI researcher for 2 years, so I think that gives me some credentials. I promise I'll keep this video short, so it will not go a single second past 15 minutes. Okay, I promise. Okay. First thing, people when they think about using AI, the first thing that comes to mind is, what if my teacher finds out? Aren't there AI detectors out there? Okay, let me be a bit more specific. When I'm talking about AI in this context, I'm going to be talking about large language models, which are sort of the ChatGPT style models, where you can basically chat with them like a normal human being through text message, and then it will reply you with another text message. These are called large language models. I'll go back to this later on in the video. But regarding these specific type of AI, which is most popular, the detector technology right now to detect AI generated text is really, 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 really bad. Like, it's pretty inconsistent, and any institution worth their two cents, wouldn't really use these detectors. Like, we've probably all tried it yourself, right? Like, if you take any human generated text, like purely human written, you can go write it yourself and plop it in. It'll probably put like 20 or 40% AI for no reason. It's quite weird. And then sometimes you put in AI generated text, you just edit it a little bit, and then it drops to like 50% AI generated. So it's very volatile, and is at its current state as of February 2026, it's unreliable. However, this does not mean that people cannot tell when you're using AI. AI writing has like quite a few key tendencies that, if you talk to AI long enough, or if your teacher has seen enough AI generated content, they will be able to spot it out in an instant. Like, I personally know from, playing with AI for about 2 years at this point, I can spot when something is AI generated pretty well, be it text or image or video. So let me give you some examples of AI tendencies when they generate text. Okay, so number one, triadic phrasing, or people know this as the rule of threes. So it's like, I was sweating, panting, exasperated, you know. Number two, not X, but Y. So for example, this isn't just a mere discovery, it's a revolutionary one. Or, I didn't do this, instead I did that. Okay. Number three, M dashes, colons, or semicolons. This one has no explanation needed, we all know. Um, not X, not Y, just Z. So, for example, I had no mentorship, no one to guide me, but just me, myself, and my cat. So that's another sentence structure that AI likes to use. And lastly, bombastic phrasing for absolutely no reason. So, um, just using big words in general that don't fit the context well, or untypical to come out of the mouth of a JC student. Let me be clear that none of these by themselves are red flags of AI. In fact, right, it's only because that these are traditionally good writing techniques that AI labs have trained their AIs to learn from them and pick them up. So you can still use them in moderation. However, when you start seeing a repeat or a mix of these signs like in a great frequency, then that is a red flag. So for example, if there's three M dashes in a single paragraph, or you see the not X but Y like in one sentence per every single paragraph in your GP essay, or there's just constant use of triadic phrasing, like it's so obvious. So this doesn't mean that the literary techniques are bad. Personally, I really, really like to use M dashes and colons, but of course use them in moderation and you'll be fine. All right. Now I'm gonna talk about AI for learning. I think this is the main use case you're gonna see for AI, specifically LLMs. So the first thing that I personally used it for was to break down complex concepts um, from first principles. So if I didn't understand a concept, usually it's gonna be econs. I'll be real. Then I'll I'll chat to it and then I'll ask it to explain from the most basic unit of understanding that for me. So I'll just ask it to keep asking me questions about that concept that gets simpler and simpler until I get to somewhere where I can understand and I can tell it, okay, I understand this. Now help me understand the next level, and then the next level, and then the next level. Trust me, if you use this method, even the most stupidest motherfucker can learn anything. Okay, just take it slow. Secondly, AI is not stupid. You are stupid. Like, you don't know how to use or talk to the AI correctly. So what do I mean by this? For math and physics, people often complain, why is the AI so shit? I take a photo of my physics question or my math question and then it just hallucinates some nonsense or it solves it wrongly. Well, first of all, AI sucks at images right now. Like, these are called vision language models, and currently, they just know that they're not as good as images as they are with text. So whenever possible, try to convert your problems that you want the AI to solve into a text format before you send it in. So typically, how this workflow would work for me is, because I'm lazy, I'm still gonna take a photo of maybe like a physics question, but then I'm gonna ask it to transcribe whatever it sees in the image. And what transcribe means is basically, write it out in words. So after the AI has written out the problem in words, I'll see if it actually, identified what the problem is correctly, written it down word for word correctly. Okay, and then after I verify that, then I'll ask it to solve it. And this improves the accuracy by so much. Alternatively, if you're big in math, I would encourage you to learn LaTeX, which is this way of representing mathematical notation through like ASCII characters. Or if that's like too troublesome for you, you can just learn like how to represent simple equations using the keyboard. So for example, asterisk stands for times, uh, slash stands for divide, plus and minus, and then caret stands for exponent. Simple stuff like this. Okay, for the humans, GP, econs, and other stuff, I feel like AI is a really really good case study finding tool. So what I mean by this is, like, sometimes you have an idea or you have a sort of a thesis that you want to get across, but you don't have the right evidence, or maybe your evidence doesn't really fit the bill. Then you can just tell it to your AI and ask it to find some case studies, and most of the time it'll actually find pretty good case studies, I will say. How you want to go about doing this is, at the end of your prompt, you just type three words. You say use web tool, and this essentially signals to the AI to go and search on the internet using Google or whatever search mechanism it may have to come and pull in the most relevant case studies for your problem. And this was especially useful for me for my H3 econs. In fact, one of my H3 econs teachers actively encouraged us to use AI whenever possible. Okay, also, you should use AI to optimize your time wherever possible. If something takes like, less than 3 minutes to do, or how to say, like if you have a question that is like you think is really menial, or a task that you think can be solved by AI in like less than 3 minutes, then you should delegate it to AI like immediately. Don't waste your time or keep it in as a backlog. That's not gonna help. So for example, J1 project work, I still remember, like, I was from RI, right? And there was legit not a single group that I knew that did not use ChatGPT in some way, shape, or form, right? And who even cares about project work? Let's be real. Like, I'm pretty sure as long as you don't cuss slurs at the examiners, you won't fail. So use it to optimize your time wherever possible. Also, regarding PDFs, don't upload your PDFs using the traditional function, because I'm pretty sure for most of the models, or at least the harnesses around them, what they'll do is, um, they'll take they'll split the PDF into pages, and then they'll take like screenshots of each page and then send them in as individual images to the model. Now, like I said before, models still suck at images. So what you want to do is, if you have a PDF, um, and you want to put the text into the model, just Control A, then Control C, and Control V. Another thing is, please always on chain of thought. Now, what is chain of thought? It basically is a function that allows the models to think and reason about the problem before jumping in and solving it. So typically this will be in the form of some sort of toggle called like extended thinking or reasoning, right? And then I know for ChatGPT models that you can select like reasoning low, medium, or high. Yeah, the reasoning really helps so much with the consistency and the capabilities of the models. You have to on it in some way, shape, or form to get consistent results. And also clarify all doubts. Okay, if you have like uh, a problem, or you know, you don't really understand this very specific thing in one of your subjects, you know, instead of wasting your tutor's time with it, you know, I recommend you always, the first step should be, you know, to ask your AI to maybe explain it to you from first principles. And maybe if you don't understand that, then you go to your tutor, because your tutors have limited time and they are busy people, right? You don't want to make them busy with, you know, stupid questions. I'll keep it real, and it's completely fine to have stupid questions. Just, you know, delegate them to your AI first. All right. One more use case that I used AI personally for was to find patterns for exam spotting. So for example, I took computing, right, H2 computing, and I got the TYS, so I just scanned it all, and then not really scanned it all, but I categorized each question by hand into like question type and topic, and then I fed it in, and then it gave me back some predictions, and it ended up being fairly accurate for the actual A levels. And I know other people did this. Like if you go on TikTok, you search the cub in the jungle. He did this for chem, and apparently, a lot of people say that it was very accurate for A levels. So, yeah, and I honestly think like the teachers are probably also using AI to set the to like brainstorm question ideas. So it's not too bad of an idea to find patterns in past exam data to sort of predict new questions. And actually, one of AI's key strength is it's able to generalize and find patterns within data that it has never seen before. All right. Another thing is, the more you understand about a subject, the better AI becomes for you. Okay. So for what do I mean by this? You know, you can ask your AI to generate a full GPSA for you. That'll be like one sentence, right? Write a GPSA for me. And then maybe if you're lucky, it'll go find the syllabus document and then it'll generate according to that. But even still, you're gonna notice the output is not what you would expect out of a GPSA. It doesn't understand our context, the Singaporean context, the JC context, or you know, whatever subject you may be troubled with. So the more you understand about, let's just say, GP, then I can tell it, you know, this is the structure, topic sentence, evidence, explanation, link. And then for topic sentence, this is my criteria. I need it to be unique. I need it to be um grounded in real world affairs. Create a list of guidelines, and the more guidelines you give the AI, the better it will eventually become. All right. Next thing, AI psychosis. AI has a very potent problem right now where it will glaze you. Like if it can sense that you have a certain stance on maybe a particular issue, like if you ask it about American politics, but it can sense through your tone that you kind of favor Republicans, then it will more than likely give a response that favors Republicans. And this is just something due to the way that the AI was trained, called RLHF. But just know that, you know, be careful when you're asking AI for, you know, subjective opinions, because most of the time it is incentivized to give you the answer that you want to hear. So typically what I would do is I would, you know, feed it two prompts. One prompt is ask it to argue what are the pros of this thing and what are the cons of this thing, and then you yourself make your own objective judgment. Okay, lastly, and this is probably the most important, how to pick a model. Oh shit, I'm about to exceed 15 minutes. Fuck. Okay. how to pick a model. So back to the acronym, right? We are talking about large language models. These are your ChatGPT style models. Now, what does language model mean? Well, it models language. In other words, these AIs learn how to form a representation of language. They basically learn to speak with us. Now, what does the large mean then? The large typically refers to the scale of these AI systems itself. So essentially what AI is at its core, they are just mathematical functions, right? And so they can be at their smallest unit, they're called neurons. So in your entire AI system, you might have, X number of neurons. Now initially we were at the millions of neurons, or they call it parameters, millions of parameters. But as time has gone on and AI models have scaled larger and larger, we're into like the billions, and right now we're in the trillions, I'm pretty sure, of parameters. So you can imagine that the more parameters that a model has, the smarter it's going to be, and the more information it can hold, the more well it's able to represent our language. And so, back to the question, how do we pick a model now that we know what are LLMs? Well, we want to delegate tasks to models of the appropriate size. So for example, I'm going to use Claude as an example because that's the provider that I usually use, and I've like 3,000 chats with it over the last 2 years. So in the drop down menu, typically they will have a description of what each of the models are for. So as you can see, Opus models are designed for heavy tasks. What this implies is that they are the largest models, okay, and you should use them wherever you need a creativity, you need brainstorming, you need something that isn't straightforward. 1 + 1 = 2 isn't as straightforward as that. However, then you see the next tier of models is called Sonnet. So, and you can see they give a description. It's maybe less apt than Opus, but it's still decently good, and it can use for everyday tasks. What this means is that basically they're signaling that Sonnet has less parameters than Opus, and you can use it for most tasks that don't require that much firepower. So let's say solving math equations. By the way, our JC math is like not even an issue at all for the modern era of ChatGPT. Like there is not a single question, I'm pretty sure, that will trip up a single one of the frontier models. And so typically, personally, I use Sonnet for most of my stuff. And then finally, Haiku is like the smallest model with the least number of parameters. And this is like if you really, need to do something brain dead, like, I don't know, summarize a piece of text. Now, why do we want to fit the task to the model? Why not use everything in Opus? Well, there are usage limits, right? By the way, I highly recommend that you purchase a AI membership. It'll be like $20 or $30 a month, but the ROI you get from it is actually insane. Like, so I only recommend OpenAI, uh, Google Gemini, or Claude from Anthropic. Now, each of these providers, they have their own tiers of models. So for example, in OpenAI is GPT 5.2, which is the best one, and then GPT 5 mini. See, mini signals that there's less parameters, so it's like the slightly less capable version. And then there's also GPT 5 nano, which is like equivalent to Haiku, which is like the smallest but also the fastest and most cost effective. So you want to use smaller models for the stupid stuff because it will use up your usage limits slower. And then, but honestly, I think you could just start with using Opus or like the highest tier N tier models first, and then see like if your use case necessitates it, then you downgrade. But I think for most people, probably won't need to downgrade lah. And for Gemini, you have Gemini 3 Pro and Gemini 3 Flash. Obviously, Flash signals that less parameters, therefore it's faster. Okay, so now that you know exactly how to use AI, if you have questions, feel free to email me. Email in description. If you are looking to apply to USA universities, including but not limited to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Stanford, MIT, you also email me. I can help you with portfolio stuff, essay writing, anything of that sort, or financial aid. All right, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.